goosebumps every time, yeah, 713. Through the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low-key. I'm sipping low-key and honest, rider. I get those goosebumps every time.
Newcastle United.
I get those goosebumps every time. I need the high, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around me, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time.
Up the mugs. Yes, sir.
Hello. Good evening. Welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC. No shades tonight.
Nah.
Chris, how are you?
I had them ready just in case. But no, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Disappointing performance and result tonight. But you know, I'm going to try and keep it as positive as I can because, well, for many reasons. But yeah, on a whole, mate, I'm good, and personally, I'm good. How are you doing, that?
Grand, I have my shades ready as well. I have a pair in the car and a pair in the Newcastle Foundation, and not intentionally though.
Yeah, that's
but good place to have them if you ever need them. Right, let us get it. Yeah, well, I'm a grand kid, Chris. Looking forward to Easter, and okay, this is taking a bit of a downer on things, but look, it's not all doom and gloom either.
No.
We get into the game. You're probably noticing someone missing. Pete was busy today. Let's just put it that way. We might see him later on. He may make an appearance, but we'll see how we get on. This is the team news. And if we hadn't know where it is, this would have been the same 11 that we would have picked as well, I'm sure, Chris.
It would be, yeah. No surprises. In fact, no surprises even on the bench, was there? I mean, like, you know, obviously Joe Willock back amongst the bench, but yeah, everything else, yeah, no surprises. I had no complaints with the starting 11 whatsoever.
Yeah, me neither. Look at it. That's what they've been doing so well. Look at we have won 6 games in a row, 5 in the league, but that bubble has now burst, and you couldn't change it. Once everyone was fit, you couldn't really change that team because it was doing so well. This was the Villa team. They did make some changes from the PSG game, and you know, everyone thought, including us, I think as well, that what kind of headspace they'd be in, but it was a pretty good headspace from their point of view. But credit to Villa. We'll give them more credit along the way. They did do really, really well today. Let's get into the game. Walk you through it. Right. So straight away, within the first 30-40 seconds, Villa score because Watkins shot took a deflection in off Shar. It did happen from Tonali's clearance. It went straight to Villa. But yeah, great start from their point of view. Disaster of a start for us. 1-0 down. Thoughts on that first goal, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it was the start of many attacks down our right hand side, their left hand side. But when the goal first went in, I think I always have a different viewpoint on goals like this. Daz, like I literally don't get annoyed by them. I don't get too emotional over them because when the ball gets played into the box and you can clearly see it takes a huge deflection. Nick Pope's got no chance with it. Fabian Schär, obviously, you know, it comes off his heel or his calf or his knee or whatever it may be, and it gives the keeper no chance. But like, especially when it's so early on in the game, I'm just a bit like, okay, you know, sometimes they go for you and sometimes they go against you. It's just one of those things, isn't it? But I know the commentators were like, oh, you know, Newcastle can still get back into this, and it's like, mate, what are you talking about? It's 30 seconds in, and they just crossed the ball. And it's deflected off one of our players and gone in. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think people sensationalize it a little bit too much. So yeah, just one of those for me, Daz. I didn't feel or think too much about it. Unlucky, But, I think we've had a couple this season where that's happened, maybe not in the first minute, but, where the ball gets played in, it just bounces off a defender and then goes in. It's just one of those things. And funnily enough, I think we have a bit of one a bit later on as well. So it was two bad pieces of bad luck. Yeah.
Yeah. I was the same, Chris. I wasn't. I was disappointed, but I wasn't overly worried because it's the whole of the game to go. And much like when the game we're at, the Man United game, were 1-1 at half time, we just thought we'd kick on from that. Yeah. Of course, we were away though today, which probably played a factor as well. But yeah, 4 minutes after. 3 minutes later, on the 4th minute, Watkins hits the upright as Newcastle stand off him and invite him to run at us. That will become a kind of theme. That right-hand side will become a theme in this reaction show and in the game today. Newcastle look very nervous, something we've not seen for a while. Villa are really up for it as well, as they continue to build on their great start. Let's up into that first 15 minutes or so. But on the second game, Newcastle do get an equaliser, and it came from that man, Fabian Schär. Scored the other day, scores again today. The celebration from Schär, and this was the picture of the goal. But you just described the ball. Great ball in from Barnes to Schär, who gets his head on it to Martinez's legs. From a tight angle, make it 1-1. Schär was just after about 3 minutes before that, or 5 minutes before that, he was just after picking up a yellow card when he was pulling Watkins back. But that brought us back into the game. But thoughts on that goal from Schär, Chris?
Yeah, I thought we were lucky to equalise, if I'm honest, because we weren't playing particularly well. But caught them on the break, so to speak. Great ball in by Harvey Barnes. I think he cuts back in, doesn't he, and then whips it in with his right foot. Looks like it's going to go to Dan Burn, who come a little bit into the centre of the 18-yard box, but ends up looping over, which I'm sure was purposely meant by Harvey Barnes. I know he was aiming for that far post. But yeah, Fabian Schär drifts off his man, which I think was Ian Maatsen. And he does what you're told when you're a young kid, when you're in your football training, just make sure you get it on target and head it low. It's exactly what he does. And I think I sent you a message, didn't I, Daz, when that goal went in, saying, Emmy, shut your legs. Because it just goes through Emi Martinez's legs. But yeah, I was absolutely delighted, mate, because for me, it felt a little bit against the run of play. You rightly say, Fabian Schär had received that yellow card. And for the split second, I'll be honest, when I watched the replay, I was thinking, oh, God. But I think it was lucky that there was a bit of pace on the ball, because if there wasn't as much pace on the ball and there was an opportunity for Watkins to get that ball, I think Schär could have gone. I really do.
Yeah, there's potential for that.
It was clumsy. Yeah. I get why he did it, because obviously he didn't want him to go through, but it could have been seen differently. But yeah, so going and getting that equaliser was huge, because I thought, right, here we go, let's kick on. And it didn't quite happen like that, did it?
Yeah, no, you're exact same thoughts as me there, Chris, and I'm sure most people watching as well would have thought that as well. 77 people in the chat, smash that like button as well, please. Right, let's carry on, because this is what Villa did. 26 minutes, Watkins hits the post as he has a free header from the free kick. Again, Watkins finding space and is unmarked, so complete danger man. And today, I know he deserved all the plaudits today, to tell you the truth. 33 minutes, Tonali's shot is pushed wide by Martinez for a corner, but pace and space is costing us on that right hand side, where Villa are finding lots and lots of joy. It will come back to kill us later, that right hand side. But let's carry on. 40 minutes, J7 gets the yellow, bringing down Rodgers. Not that it matters so much, but as you put it a tweet out, Chris, that we all knew that was coming. At least he's over that 32 game cut-off point, so it's not going to matter so much. But it's like he was waiting for that to do that. But in fairness, it was a good. He needed to make that challenge as well. Rodgers was probably away. No sunglasses tonight, Woody. Nope, no sunglasses. 44 minutes. penalty shout from Villa. Watkins dives this time. I'm saying a dive because Shar did not make contact there. And of course, Shar was on that yellow card. But went to VAR and no was the answer. For you, Chris, you give them a penalty there?
No. I didn't think it was a pen live, and then when I watched it back, I won't tell you what I called Watkins, but yeah, there was no way that was a penalty. And I think as well you can half tell normally with stuff like that when you see the reactions of the players, because you look at the reactions of Watkins and he looks a little bit sheepish claiming for this penalty, and then you see, I think it was Shah, Trippier, you see them all like pointing at him and then screaming to the referee. So I thought, nah, there's nothing in that at all, and yet the replays proved it.
Yeah, exactly. Look, to close out that half, Villa give away the ball on a few occasions towards half time, but Newcastle couldn't capitalise on it. It ended half time 1-1. And we would have taken that, that's for sure, on reflection. But no, was not to be, because the second half had to kick on. 52 minutes, Sandro clears the ball off the line from Tielemans. Header from a corner. It continues, though, to go end to end with 3 points there for whoever wanted it more. Villa are getting plenty of set piece opportunities, but not doing so much with them. 60 minutes, Pope has 2 saves in quick succession. And 62 minutes, Isak has a shot saved. But then here comes the onslaught of goals from Villa, because 63 minutes, Ian Maddison scores for Villa. No one tracking down the right. Pace cost us there. Who should have been there? Trips, Murphy, the one covering each other. Because while give my thoughts on this goal and just on that. Well, on the left you have Tino is able to get back. If he goes forward, he's able to track back at speed, but we don't have that luxury on the right, and it just didn't work today in the covering sense on that right hand side for me. But what are your thoughts on Madison's goal there to make it 2-1 to Villa?
Really poor, mate. Really poor. You're right. There was no cover on that right hand side. It was weird as well, Daz, and I put this in the group to you, didn't I? You could see it coming. I knew just shortly after it was after the halfway line. I knew it was in. I knew they'd score, because we didn't track back enough. We didn't have enough cover, and all you could you can almost see the path for the Villa player. You just like play it on, bang, and that was it. I was really disappointed with our right hand side today, and yeah, it was strange as well, because as soon as it went 2-1 Villa, I almost knew we didn't have a second goal in us. I just knew it. I actually thought it would finish either 2-1 or 3-1, and then obviously what came, but yeah, we just kind of collapsed at that point. But I knew we wouldn't get back into the game, because it was as if the players were a little bit devoid of confidence. They were tired. They'd run out of ideas. Fair play to Villa. Villa had a really good game plan and they executed it excellently. So I'm not taking anything away from Villa. They fully deserved the win tonight. But yeah, we weren't at it. But yeah, the goal particularly was really disappointing, because it wasn't excellent. It wasn't this fantastic piece of skill. It was just the fact that Villa really bombarded our right hand side, and we didn't have enough men to cover. And they took advantage of that. But fair play, it was a good finish from Maatsen. Again, can't blame Pope, because there was no cover to stop the shot. So yeah, it was disappointing.
And it is kind of hard to go in on the players, because they've taken us on such a great run. Well, the cup, and then five straight wins in the league. But this was a 6-pointer as well, like for Champions League spot. So yeah, the right hand side was cost us big time today. Gordon then, who's ready to come on just before that goal went in, comes on for Murphy, and then as usual, Barnes moves out to the right. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. If Gordon was on before that, Barnes may track back a bit more. I don't know. We'll never know. Yeah, well, they didn't really have the desired effect though. With Gordon coming on, and hasn't as of late. Gordon hasn't done much when he has come on in recent games, for me anyway. But 72 minutes. It's 3-1. Ball from Jacob Ramsey. Just went in off Byrne. I think Tillemans got in the way, and then it went in off Byrne. But again, down the right hand side. It's game over. It's 3-1 at this stage, but it's already game over. But thoughts on that goal, Chris?
Yeah, a little bit of similar vibes to the first one, really. But not taking anything away from Villa, because we were warned and we were warned and we were warned and we were warned, and they just kept doing it. And then the ball comes in, Byrne tries to clear it, and if you see, I think it catches his heel. And again, Pope's got no chance. I feel like a broken record. I'm saying the same thing, but it's hard to be angry. It's hard to be angry when the same mistakes are happening. I think the overriding feeling is disappointment, and the disappointment from my point of view is that we didn't change things up. We should have changed things up earlier than what we did. I know we brought subs on and stuff like that, but it needed changing earlier than that for me, because you could see it happening. But yeah, again, Villa just bombarded our right hand side, punted the ball into the box. Dan Byrne didn't quite get the connection he wanted to get on it, and we were punished for it. Simple as that. Wasn't a great goal, wasn't a well worked goal. It was just one of those.
And you mentioned they're making the change sooner, I suppose. Like all the credit has recently gone to JT stepping in for Eddie, but the two of them working together and bouncing off each other, they may have saw that coming even quicker than that. Like, so come back soon, Eddie. Hopefully you're back for the during the week, and hopefully you make a full recovery, obviously, as well. That's the most important. Yeah. But we crack on, because 74 minutes, here comes another goal. Unana scores. I can't even remember that goal. I just kind of was dejected by that stage. 4-1. Good finish.
Same, yeah. Exactly the same. Exactly. I'm not going to repeat myself. Down the right-hand side, ball breaks to Unana. Now, I will say there was a bit of skill and really nice finish there, because it was brilliantly executed. But again, he's on his own. He's on his own. The defence are all over the place. The heads have been lost at that point. And yeah, it was just 11 minutes of madness. I think it was the 64th to the 75th minute, we conceded 3 goals. And you knew the game was done then, and then you started seeing subs coming on, and it's like, nah, just be done with it now. I think you put in the chat, Daz, didn't you? The right thing to do there was just to take all the big guns off. Take all the big guns off and just wave the white flag, because the game was done at that point. There's just no point.
Yeah. And when I did say so, I said, "Oh no, the bench." I thought they take off Bruno and Joe Linton, because I was afraid that they'd get a red card, to tell you the truth. Bruno ran it close at times, but what the change he did make 2 minutes later was Trips, Isak, and Barnes off. Willowcraft and Wilson on. Neither of them did really much, but the game was done anyway. Because we had dug it straight after that. Ramsey hits the post again. How many times did Villa hit the post, upright, whatever? It was just, they totally deserved that their victory. It wasn't a bit of annihilation in that sense. We did well to stay in until halftime. If you reflect back, well, 81 minutes. Shars off, targets on. Half chances really see out the game. Final score 4-1. Thank God that one is over. Credit to Villa. Great performance and win. They definitely deserve. Wanted it more than us today. Our 6-game run is come to an end. 5 in the league. As I said already, hopefully we have Eddie back for the run in. And just the same as 11. The same 11 has taken us so far. Bubble now is burst. We need to regroup. Go again, and it's all still in our hands. But any thoughts on summing up the game, Chris?
In terms of summing up the game, I'd like to go to the league table shortly. But in terms of summing up the game, I think Fraden summed it up really well. There was too many players who had an off day today. Too many, and unfortunately, they all seem to be down our right hand side. I thought Bruno had a poor game, and I like you, Daz, I was a little bit worried he was going to lose his head, because that yellow card was just completely pointless. I get that he was frustrated that we didn't get a decision at the other end of the park, but he literally just goes up behind. I think it was was it Tielemans, and just literally just does that to him. And then as soon as the referee gets his cards out, he's like, no, but you should have given that. And it's like, mate, that's not how you do it. Do you know what I mean? I know that obviously the frustration's kicking in at that point, but I thought Jacob Murphy had the poor game. I just feel like there was a cluster of players who didn't turn up today, but I feel very reluctant, to start slagging the players off, because
Exactly.
I mean, we've had some people in the chat there going, oh, your centre backs are terrible, and we've got no squad depth, and it's like I think we need to calm down a little bit, because let's see what the next week brings, is what I'd say, because a couple of our rivals for that top 5 place are either having to play each other or they've got tough games, and I think things could look a hell of a lot different a week today, is what I'd say.
Exactly. You know what? It'd be great. It'd be great to get another viewpoint on the game. How about this fella? Welcome, Pete.
Hey, Pete.
Hey, boys, okay?
Yeah, not too bad,
Not
mate.
too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. Oh,
Pete. Yes, let's get. We've kind of gone through the game. We're rewound it back. We've got our kind of views at the end, but I want to get your viewpoint now from a different angle.
yeah, I was listening to the run through because I've actually been back a little while, but I was just listening to you boys just kind of run through the game before I jumped on. Part of the agreement with the wife to say, you can go on and do your review, but come see me for a little bit before you go on. So I thought I would. It's really poor performance today. Really, really poor. From minute one, the boys did look like they were on it. I tell you what it looked like to me. It looked like a team that has a big squad to choose from, and a team that has a very little squad to choose from that has been playing the same players for the last 6 games. The players looked tired today. They didn't look like they could go another game, another 90 odd minutes. And it really told. I think this has to be a wake-up call for a couple of reasons. A wake-up call to say the Champions League isn't wrapped up yet. There's still work to be done. But I think this is also a wake-up call, if there ever needed to be one, to both Eddie and Jason Tyndall, to say that we need to add proper players to this squad in the summer to add to what we've already got if we're going to be ready to go on 3 fronts. You could see the difference between the 2 teams. It was really, really clear as to Aston Villa making a number of different changes and looking still fresh, and us not. But look, it was very, very obvious that our right-hand side of defence was poor today. Was really
dreadful,
really
mate. Dreadful.
You know what? I was standing next to Emeka, and Emeka made a point to me at about 25 minutes, and he was like, if we make a change at half-time, we need to take Shaw off. We need to put someone else on, because his head after that first goal was on Mars. He was done. And Shaw has these games every now and again. After he has a good run of games, he has one game where he's just not at it and he's all over the place. That was today. And he wasn't with it at all after that first goal went in. And there was a clear tactic. Don't know if you boys saw it, but it was really clear for us to see, is that they almost pull, I think it was Rodgers or whoever it was on their left-hand side, would pull deep to pull Trippier out, and then they put the ball in and behind into that channel and isolate Fabian Shaw. So it was always Watkins and Shaw one-on-one. And the one thing that they kept doing, or we kept doing, particularly Fabian Shaw, was allowing Watkins to travel into the box unopposed. So when he came into the box, at that point, he couldn't make contact. Because if he did, he'd be giving away a penalty. We nearly did give away a penalty. And that was part of the problem, is that, when you're allowing a team to do that, I mean, there was about 5 occasions in the first half where the midfield literally parted. Their midfield split either side, and we followed them. And Martinez just pumped a low-driven ball right through onto that
happened 4 times.
And within seconds, bang, 1-on-1. And it happened all the time. And we were calling in the away, and we were going, how are we still allowing this to happen? How are we letting this happen? And today's result, yes, Villa scored some good goals, but we allowed them to play that way. And that's the most disappointing thing, is that we didn't play our own game. We didn't force our own way of playing upon them. And they won the tactical battle, as we did at St. James's Park, let's not forget. And that's, I think, the most disappointing thing about it all. I thought Minik Pope played well, came and commanded, made a few really good saves, but his defence has really let him down today in front of him. Effectively the winning goal, I don't know if you saw this, the Maxim goal. Rodgers pulls Trippier out into the halfway line. So when they contest the ball, is literally right near the centre circle. And so he pulls him out, he spins Trippier, and Trippier was like easily brushed off. Bang, plays it into that channel. And then they're literally 2-on-1 with Shaw. And you knew the goal was coming when it came. Like at that point, when they're running through, the little overlap, playing it to Matson, boom, goal, done. At that point, game done. We knew it in the away end. People won't admit it, but you knew in your head that the game was done at that point and that we had nothing more to give. You look around the players and you can see players pointing and blaming each other. There was no, come on, let's go again. They're all kind of pointing the finger at everybody else. You see Isak pointing fingers at people. He was poor today. He really doesn't look confident with the ball at the moment. I don't know what's going on. Yes, he scored against Palace, but when the ball's at his feet, normally he's got that little sharpness about him to take on a man and like whip in between players. He did not have that today, and he really looked like he didn't have confidence with the ball at his feet today. Everything was in front of the defenders, nothing in and behind where he could chase onto it. But he was pointing fingers. Bruno, the captain, was pointing fingers. You know, Joe Linton's pointing fingers. They're the three players that probably were some of the poorest other than the defenders today. So really, really disappointing in the way in which we lost that game. And then goal difference, lads. You know, getting 3 against us, goal difference is going to become a thing. So we've added 3 on to Villa. We've lost 3 ourselves. You know, that's another question mark. That's something that we need to rectify next weekend against Ipswich. Yeah. But look, it was a poor performance. We've had a great run of 6 wins in a row. It's not the end of the world. I tweeted out after the game. I said, you know, it was poor performance, poor result, poor manner of the defeat. But we just need to dust ourselves off. We need to go to Ipswich or play Ipswich at St. James's Park next Saturday, and we need to absolutely pummel them. We need to hit back and hit back strong, get confidence high again. If we can hit Ipswich for 3 or 4 and get that goal difference back up to where it was before the game today, and by then we'll know the outcome of Man City Villa on Tuesday, which will be very interesting spectators to now. And that game means a little bit more to us than it did yesterday. I think now we'll know what we need to do on Saturday. And let's face it, one of those teams are going to drop points. So from our perspective, us beating Villa us beating Ipswich will allow us to get a jump on one of those teams again, whoever it is, whether it's Man City, whether it's Villa, or both. It allows us to get those points back. So it's not the end of the world. Let's see what happens on Tuesday. Let's see what happens on Monday, actually, because I was speaking to
one there.
Wolfie's not happy with us because we didn't win today, but he's projecting his frustrations and his worries on us because he's worried that, and he said it in the chat, he's worried that they're not going to get the result on Monday. So that one's going to be interesting. If Tottenham can do a job on Forest, then Villa and Man City fight it out. It could still work back in our favour that actually what happens today doesn't necessarily mean anything. But any your opinions on that, boys? Because I've just talked about
just 2 points on what you meant. I'll go to the Ipswich first. Like as we said in the recent show as well, depending how results go tomorrow as well, but Ipswich could be relegated, or we could relegate them when we're playing them on next weekend. And on what was I going to say about Ange in the Premier League? He only does it in Europe, doesn't he? So it's a lot to hope for. But hey, we live in hope. We live in hope on that. But no, I agree with everything you're saying there, Pete. To tell you the truth, is more or less what we're kind of saying in the. It's a good to you had a different kind of a view being at the game, so it's good to get that perspective as well. Anthony, you want to say, Chris, before I kick on?
I was just gonna say it was interesting, Pete, what you were saying. The first two things. Well, the two things. The first thing about when Maatsen made it 2-1, and the fact that you felt like the game was done. That's exactly how I felt, and I think Daz felt the same as well. How we felt watching it from home. It was, and it wasn't like it was a wonderfully crafted goal. It was just really frustrating because you knew, and it was strange because once they'd gone past that halfway line, you knew it was almost like watching a pre-record of a goal. You knew they were going to score because everybody was out of position, and you saw the danger point, and the nearer and nearer they got, you were like, yeah, they're going to score here, they're going to score, and then in it goes. And I thought your point you made about Martinez was really interesting as well, because that was particularly frustrating. It was like the parting of the sea, as you described it. They kept doing that, and all he kept having to do was just ping it. I think at one point he pinged it from his box into the centre circle, and the lad picked it up. I forget who it was. It might have been Tielemans or McGinn. And there was no one within 20 yards of him. And that's in the middle of the pitch. And it's like, there's something wrong here. There's nobody engaging with him. And he just picks the ball up in the middle of the pitch, swivels, and then goes on the attack. And you think, that's not right. Yeah. That's not how we normally defend or how we normally operate in our midfield. Our midfield are normally everywhere. So you could tell straight away that, there was something not quite right. But just to summarise, no, I'm not concerned. I understand why Wolfie feels a little bit nervous. And I think it's because Tottenham have been dreadful this season, no doubt about it. But the thing with Tottenham is they've got those players who can turn it on. A bit like Man United, they've got the odd player who's got that moment of brilliance in them. They've been awful this season. But it would just be typical Spurs, wouldn't it, to go and beat Forest at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, so I get why Wolfie's not, counting his chickens and going, "Oh, we'll beat them, we'll batter them." I think if it was at the City grounds, it wouldn't be as much of a conversation. But it's the fact that it's at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and then, as we all know, on the Tuesday night, we've got that Man City Villa game as well. So I think we all just need to relax, see where we are, and go from there.
But we should also be nervous, not overly nervous, but there's reason to be nervous as well. Like it's still we're still in control of the situation, and things will like no one really expected. We hoped that things would be plain sailing. This is Newcastle; nothing's ever plain sailing. But I think Pete Graves has put out a nice tweet, and I just said I clip it up as well. He says, "Breaking. I'm calling an official ban on Newcastle Twitter meltdown tonight. Anyone in breach will be ignored. We've won 6 in a row and won the cup. Bad day at the office. It happens over the course of a league. Have a lovely Easter. Pump it up." So, there's reasons to have a bit of doubt. Maybe that's what we need as well, to get the best out of it for ourselves again, and just pick ourselves up again. That's
where was Rich when we spanked them 3-0 at St James's Park? He wasn't in our chat then. Come on, at least do the honourable thing.
He
deserved it, though. He deserved it.
He deserved it. Well, give him his moments. Give him his moments. It was a good win, Rich. It was a good win.
In fairness, it is Rich's derby. Like living in Newcastle, it's massive.
True.
But don't worry, Rich. We'll pay that back. Right. Let's have a look at the table, boys, because let's look how bunched it really is. Here it is. So where that leaves us on the same 59 points we already have with 33 games played. I think forgetting about trying to catch Arsenal now. Let's just focus on getting top 5. But Man City winning today over Everton, leaving it late, but getting, I think it was a 2-0 win in the end. Everton were doing us a favour for a while, but then that backfired. Forest, as Pete said, play Spurs on Monday. We know all about them, and Chelsea have yet to play as well. So I think it's Fulham they play. We said. But yeah, what do you think now, boys? It is so bunched, and the roller coaster continues.
Still in the driving seat, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Still in the driving seat, 59 points, third in the league. You know, even if Tottenham take a point from Forest, you know, we're still there. We're still third.
Mm.
You know, it's still in our hands from that point. That we're in the driving seat at that point. If Tottenham take something from
Forest.
But yeah, and then it's all about the game at the Etihad.
Yeah,
game at the Etihad is massive. Obviously, I mean, what are we wanting from that? Are we wanting a Man City win? Are we wanting a draw? Are we wanting a Villa win? What? I don't think we want a Villa win at this point. So you know, what we want in a draw or a Man City win? Well, what's the priority for us at this moment in time? Because a draw will put Man City into third, but we'll have a game in hand on them, so we can then still go 2 points ahead, and we can obviously create a bigger gap between us and Villa again. Or we want Man City to win. So if we then go and beat Ipswich, we're back to a 5-point gap between us and Villa. Like what are you thinking, boys?
For me, I think a draw. Draw is the best result for us in that game, because it just keeps both of them away from us.
Yeah, I think draw best case scenario, and then my second choice would be City win, because I expect City to get top 5. I think it's a given City get top 5, if I'm honest. So I would prefer that. I mean, funnily enough, I will have my eyes on the Fulham Chelsea game tomorrow, because I'm hoping that Fulham turn up, and if Fulham beat Chelsea, for me, then if Chelsea were to lose to Fulham, it is literally a 4-team shootout for 3 places. And I've got to be honest, if it's a 4-team shootout for 3 places, I fancy us to be within those 3 places, I must admit. If Chelsea win tomorrow, obviously that throws even more confusion into it. It then becomes 5 teams fighting for 3 places. So obviously your odds, worsen. But hopefully Fulham can do us a favour tomorrow and just keep it to a 4-pack leading. But yeah, there's still a lot of football to be played, and I keep telling myself, boys, what I said the other day, that I didn't feel that this game was going to be top 5 defining. I did describe it as a must not lose, and obviously we've lost, which is disappointing. But at the end of the day, you look at our fixtures remaining, and you still fancy us to be picking up a fair few points, and there's a few teams that are going to be playing each other in and around it as well. So I still think the odds are in our favour, but obviously it's a shame to kind of go in with a loss this evening. But we carry on.
Ooh.
Boys, just looking at those fixtures, it's Ipswich. We're at home against Ipswich. We're away against Brighton. We're at home against Chelsea. We're away against Arsenal, and we're at home against Everton.
You don't need to go any further than the first 3 that you've just mentioned. Ipswich at home, Brighton away. Am I right in thinking they lost today? I was on the road. So
yes. They did to Brentford.
4-2, Pete?
Yeah, João Pedro got sent off. Yeah.
What was it? 3-2, 4-2? How did it end?
4-2,
I think.
4-2 to Brentford, right? So,
yeah.
So they're off the back of another hammering. They've got João Pedro that should now get a 3-game ban that will miss our game as well.
But Pete,
and we've got Chelsea at St James's Park. I'll just say, go on. Sorry, let's go on.
No, I should have let you land first, but I was just saying, Brighton always fuck us over. That's the thing. No matter who they have, they always fuck us over. That's my fear with Brighton.
True, but true. They do, particularly at this time of the season. But even so, if we can win our 2 home games out of those next 3, we can beat Ipswich and we can beat Chelsea. We can effectively put Chelsea out the race, or certainly out of the way of catching us. So that's one team out the way if we go and put them to the sword. But even if we won 2 out of the 3, if we took 7 points out of those next 3, 7 points pretty much puts us there, in my opinion. 7 points, it puts us on 66, and then that's without the fact that when we, without us thinking, put Arsenal aside from this point. Then you've got the last game of the season at home to Everton, so you've got the potential of hitting 69 points. 69 points for me guarantees us one of 3rd, 4th, or 5th, in my opinion. 69 points, I think, gets us one of those 3 positions, whatever it is, which gets us Champions League football. So I'm looking at that situation. I'm thinking 3 wins, and maybe a draw can get us Champions League football. However they come, it doesn't matter. So, I'm looking at those next 3, and I'm thinking those next 3 are winnable. And I'm actually thinking, after today's result against Villa and the way in which we lost, and to be fair, Emeka mentioned this as well, so I'll big him up for this one. It actually can be considered a bit of a wake-up call for us, that actually, not every game is going to be plain sailing. We're going to have difficulties. We're going to drop points here and there. We could never have been expected to go and win every single game. And I have to say, I don't know if you thought this, Chris, but I certainly thought this watching it. This game reminded me of what we had 3 years ago when we went to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium when me and you were there. That game reminded me very much of that in terms of our performance. And although the performance wasn't great, what it did, it spurred us on and it kicked us into gear. We went on a bit of a run after this.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, yeah.
We had a decent run up to that point, and then we dropped off against Tottenham, but then we kicked back in again with another kind of run of results. And what better game to play than Ipswich at home? Like, if you were going to ask me any game to have next after this, it's one of the bottom 3 teams at St. James.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we want, and this is a massive pick me up, and this is an opportunity for us to hit back hard. And Daz, as you mentioned, if Ipswich are down at that point, or very close to being down, which is what we expect them to be, they're going to be. I would actually kind of hope that they're not officially down yet, so there's a little bit of nerves to their performance because they've still got a little something to hold on to. And that nerves, I think, will play into our hands. I think when a team's, like you saw with Southampton today, when they're relegated, it's almost kind of like they've got nothing to lose. But for me, I hope that they're not down after this weekend, and that we're the team that can put them down by beating them at St. James's Park. But I think we need a reaction. We need a big score. We need 3 points. And what better way to kick back up? So, again, boys, I'm going to stay on the side of positivity here, because if we hit back with another win up next weekend, that's then down to 2 more wins that we need out of our remaining games to be able to get us there. So it's not over yet. And look, we're not sitting here. If you put that league back up again, just last thing from me on this, we could be Chelsea right now. We could be Villa right now. Villa, you could tell they wanted and needed this more than us. And we said it on our top table talk on Friday. Villa needed this more than us. It was obvious in their performance today. But I would much rather be in our position right now with the fixtures that we've got coming up next instead of any of those other teams. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Still a lot to play for, of course. Of course, there's just looking at those fixtures for Villa. Man City on Tuesday, Fulham, who are decent as well. Bournemouth, who foot has gone off the point. And you don't know on the day you might get something from a Spurs or a Man United, but wouldn't be holding up much hope in the last 2. But yeah, they've got a tough run.
It's not easy.
to go.
They've got booby traps there. Man United
Yeah.
away in the season. Bournemouth away. We know how difficult Bournemouth away is, and most teams do. They've not been easy to play at their place. Man City lost. Did they lose 2-0 at Bournemouth earlier on in the season? Teams don't travel well to Bournemouth. Fulham have a chance. I'm looking at you look at those fixtures. They're a tough set of fixtures for Villa, and we have to remember Villa have a lot more. They've got 2 points to gain on us to even be in that conversation of taking us over.
Yeah.
And they've got equally or more difficult fixtures than us. So,
of course, every game is that's on now and are being played at the same time has an impact on us. So it is all eyes on all games. But we have to take care of business ourselves first as well. Interesting that you think 10 out of 15 will do it, Pete. That's interesting.
Do you think more or do you think less? Well, what you I think 10.
I'm purposely I've stayed away from normally I do all my calculations, but I purposely stayed away because we don't need to. We're just unless the bubble bursts. Now we might have to do a bit of analysis on it, but there's so many chops, twists and turns this season that it is hard to predict anything.
Okay, so if we got 10 points, that puts us on what, 69 points?
Yeah.
You're then having to ask every other team in that list, in that table just there, the current table that you just had up a second ago, Dad, sorry.
Yeah.
You're asking everyone else in the same remaining fixtures, apart from Forest, to gain more points on us in that. So you're asking them to get
let's do the maths. So Forest, we know that they are still on 57 and they have Spurs to play. So let's give them. Let's see what are you giving them out of their remaining fixtures. No, they still have to play the Spurs. They're in a cup final, not a cup final, a cup semi-final as well in there to distract them.
So I think, are we predicting how many points Forest are getting there?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say a point against Tottenham. I'm going to say 3 against Brentford. I'm going to say 1. Hang on. 4, 5, 8. I'm going to say 9 points.
More than that.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I see quite a few draws for Nottingham Forest. Chris,
I'm with you, mate. I had Forest getting 10 from that. And I tell you what, I didn't have Forest losing a game in those last fixtures.
No, I don't think they'll lose. No.
So this is how I had Forest, and tell me if you agree, Chris, Daz, your opinions as well. I have Spurs a draw.
Yeah.
I have Brentford a draw.
Oh, I think they beat Brentford.
See, I don't. Brentford are decent. But in Bremo, again, he got another coup today.
Yeah.
He's just put another couple mil on the transfer kitty.
But he's got a home. Brentford are going to home.
No, but they had a great run away from home before they played us.
Yeah.
They were unbeaten in a lot of games before they came to St. James's. Like, I think that's a potential for a draw there. You know, let's not forget Everton went there and won.
Yeah, true.
And Brentford, in my opinion, are a much better attacking side than Everton are. But to be fair, it's up. Just my opinion. So I had Spurs draw, Brentford draw. I have Palace to win.
Oh,
I just think Palace at Selhurst are just a different proposition.
They beat Leicester.
I have Leicester to lose, so yeah, they get 3 points at Leicester. I have them to win at West Ham.
Oh, do you? See, I put a point for that.
West Ham are shite, man.
Oh, they're dreadful. They are dreadful, but I wonder whether West Ham might be bang up for it. I don't know. Well, I wonder if that's West Ham's last home game of the season as well. Might not be, but
it probably is.
Mm. Oh no, actually, no. I might have had a point at Palace because I said 10, didn't I? And then I said,
Oh
a
yeah,
draw.
because you said Forest
Yeah,
don't lose games.
my bad. Sorry, I had a draw at Palace and then a draw against Chelsea. So yeah, that was my 10. So I had no defeats, draws, and a win against Leicester and West Ham.
Chelsea could be kind of potentially be out of the picture, or right smack bang in the picture by that stage as well.
What do you think? That's I'm putting you on the
okay.
What do you call it? Whatever you call it,
pedestal
on the spot.
Spotlight. Right. What do I think of Forest? I think that they're going to beat Spurs. I think they're going to beat Brentford. I think they're going to get a draw at Palace. So that's already 7. They're going to get Leicester, so they're up to 10. And I give them at least 13 because I think they'll beat West Ham.
Yeah. Okay.
I can see them go better than the 9 or the 10 that you guys are saying. I know. Maybe hopefully they run out of steam, but I think they're going to do well.
Yeah,
in those fixtures.
Well, let me make a note of this. We'll come to us last, boys. So I'll make a note of this. So we've said 13 for Forest. Okay.
As a max.
That's worst case. We'll do worst case.
That's worst case. Yeah.
Worst case. Yeah. Okay. So if we move on to City, I'll start us off. I'm going to say they beat Everton. Weirdly.
2-0.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I'll add the points on so that we keep it consistent. So I'll say 3 points because they've got the 3 points there. So in fact, no, actually, because our league table's live, isn't it? No, ignore me. Our league table's live. So Aston Villa. No, this isn't. But the league table that we'll look at in a minute, that's including City's 3 points, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
so I'm gonna say they beat Villa on Tuesday. I'm going to say they beat Wolves.
Yes.
I'm going to say they beat Southampton.
Yes.
I'm going to say they draw against Bournemouth. And I'm going to say they draw against Fulham. So that's 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. Does anyone want to counter me on that? I've got worst case scenario 11. That's my worst case scenario.
I've got the worst case scenario 15.
15?
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with the Everton game. That's the only one I'm not going to argue. I think it's going to be a draw on Tuesday against Villa.
Okay.
I think they will win against Wolves, so that's 4 points.
Okay.
I think the win against Southampton.
7.
I think they'll draw against Bournemouth, which is 8. And I think they will win against Fulham. 11.
Oh, yeah, that's what I got too as well. 11. In a different way. Yeah.
Yeah. Worst case scenario.
Yeah. And Daz, so are you going 15, Daz? And I've got no problem.
I know they'll drop some points, so I'm going to give them one draw in there. So I'm going to say 13.
Okay, so we'll do 13 City. Okay, cool. Right. Should we skip Chelsea for now and go to Villa? Or do you want to do Chelsea?
Okay.
In fact, no, let's just do Chelsea because they're in order. I'm not hopeful for Chelsea at all, I've got to be honest. I think Fulham beat them. I think they get a point against Everton. I think they lose to Liverpool. I think they lose
champions
to
Liverpool at that stage, by the way.
Yeah.
Chris.
Oh, yeah, but mate,
I still don't think they'll win against
Liverpool will be bang up for it.
Even
because they're going to have to give them a guard of honour as well, aren't they? I think Liverpool will bounce them personally. So what have I got there? I've got none, 1, 4. I think 5 points for Chelsea. I think 5 points. I'm going to say 5 points.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I'm not so worried about Chelsea. I think they drift off as well, and so does Charlie.
Anyone do worst case? I'm assuming your worst case must be worse than mine because mine's only 5.
Okay. Let me see. I'll go 7. 7 worst case.
I'm going a draw against Fulham.
Yeah.
I'm going a win against Everton.
Okay.
I'm going a loss against Liverpool.
Yeah.
I'm going a loss against Newcastle.
Yeah.
I'm going a draw against Man United.
Yeah.
I think that's 5 right now.
Yeah, you're on 5.
And then I'm going to draw against Forest. So that's 6.
And as you said, 7, didn't you?
Yeah, 7 worst case.
Okay. So
That's
7 is the worst case.
60 points then, yeah?
Yeah. I said 5. You said 6. Daz said 7. Yeah. And then what was the Villa one, Daz? Right, Villa.
So I say they beat Newcastle 4-1. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So we're going to say, I think.
So negative. So negative.
I think
we should play again.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I think personally they lose to Villa. They lose to Villa. I think they lose to City. I think they'll beat Fulham 3, 4, 7, 8. I think 8 points for Villa out the 12. 3, 6, 9, 12. Fucking hell, only 8 points. Let me do that again. None against
You
City.
say they lose to Fulham?
No, I think they beat Fulham.
Oh, okay.
So is it? So I'm saying 3, 4, 7. Yeah, 8. I think 8 points. I think Villa get 8 points.
I'm thinking 10. 10 is worst case.
Pete, what's yours? Obviously scratching Newcastle.
Yeah, so they're on 57. I think draw Tuesday. I think beat Fulham.
Mm-hmm.
I think draw against Bournemouth.
4.
That'll be 5. Spurs at home.
No, it's 4, isn't it? Oh no, so you're saying draw Bournemouth, did you say?
Yeah, I said draw against City, win
Fulham.
Against Fulham, that's 4.
Draw against Bournemouth.
Draw against Bournemouth, that's 5.
Yeah.
Win against Spurs, that's 8. And then a draw against Man United on the last day, 9.
And what was your guess, Daz?
10.
10. Yeah. So 8, 9, 10. So again, boys, we're talking Villa getting 10 points from the position they're in now. So Daz, if you flash that league back up.
Yeah, let's go to the league. Add those onto it then.
Yeah, so Forest.
Did we do ourselves, Chris?
Oh no, I'm sorry, we didn't, mate. Let's do us. And we're going to be as candid as we possibly can. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to say we beat Ipswich. I think. Do you know what? I'm going to be candid here. We draw against Brighton. We beat Chelsea. So that's 7. I think it's hard to say lose to Arsenal because we've played Arsenal 3 times this season and beat them. I'm going to say a point against Arsenal, again, being cautious, and I think we beat Everton. So that's 3, 4, 7, 8, 11. So I say 11.
I'm 11 as well. On that.
Yeah.
Pete?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much the same. Mirror image, I think. Yeah, win against Ipswich. Worst case scenario, draw against Brighton.
Yeah, I don't think we get beat by Brighton.
I don't. I think worst case scenario that one. Win against Chelsea. Yeah, I would have had a draw against Arsenal as worst case. At that point, they'll be not thinking about the Premier League because the title will be over by then.
Mm-hmm.
And win against Everton. Yeah, so I'm the same. I'm the
Right.
same. You put 11 points on that. What's that? 70.
Yeah.
Well, let's
Go on,
go to
Daz.
Carl's order, man, for the
You
maths
ready?
there.
Are you ready?
Let's go.
So Newcastle end on 70 points based on what we've said. 7-0, 70 points.
Yeah.
Forest will end on 70 points. So we're going to have a little look at that goal difference.
Goal difference
Yeah.
will be is because they don't score a lot of goals. Remember, in games, unless they have a surprise like Brighton moment where they absolutely hammered them, which I don't see. They don't score a lot of goals, whereas we do. We can in games. So I don't think goal difference. So I think if that scenario plays out, we get similar points. I think we finish above them on goal difference.
Yeah, our goal difference will only increase. So at the moment, the gap for anyone listening to this on Spotify rather than viewing it, we're currently 5 goals ahead of Forest at the moment, and I think that's only going to increase. I agree, Pete. I think, I don't think our goal difference takes a hammering during this run of games. So we'd be on 70 points. Forest would also be on 70 points, but we think we'd finish above them with goal difference. City would be on 71 points. So City would be third as it stands. Villa would be on 67 points.
Yeah.
And Chelsea would be on 61 points.
So we finished 5th and ahead of Forest on goal difference in this scenario.
No, we finished 4th.
Oh, 4th. Okay.
We finished 4th.
Man City third.
Yes,
Man City third. We're 4th.
Forest 5th. Chelsea 6th.
Chelsea 6th.
Sorry. Villa 6th. Villa 6th.
Villa 6th. Chelsea 7th.
Yeah. Take that all day.
Yeah. And I think we've been very fair as well with those results, because I look particularly, the ones that I pay particular notice to, the Villa ones, because I think people will look at those last 2 and go, oh, Villa, they're playing Spurs and Man United. I will go out on a limb now and say I don't think I don't think Villa beat Spurs and Man United. I just don't think they do. I don't think they get 6 points from those 2 games. I just don't see it. Do not see it.
I'm the same. There's just something about those 2 games is that, that those teams have not had good seasons, but there's just something about the end of the season. Like Man United are going to want to sign off in a positive way.
Yeah.
Tottenham,
both could be in the final, and eyes solely fixed on that final.
True, but even so, they're not going to want to finish the season in a negative way in the Premier League. And you know what teams are like. Like, remember Chelsea against Tottenham, where they had nothing to play for, but they stopped Tottenham winning the league to let Leicester win the league. Like, teams will turn up. Like, teams will have moments like that, whether they look like doing it or not. They'll just have a moment where they'll just put on a masterclass performance, particularly in the last game or 2. If it's the second last game and they're at home for the last time, or the last game of the season. That's why I think like that Chelsea Forest game, regardless, like Chelsea are not going to want Forest to just walk all over them. That's going to be difficult. Man United, the same with Villa. There's going to be games in there where you think it's not going to be straightforward as we believe it to be.
So in that scenario, right, that we've just played out there, we cannot lose another game. Oh, maybe we can, and we'd have to get to 11 points no matter what.
I think as well what we've got to factor in is, you were talking before, Pete, about the resurgence. Like, how much of a boost is it going to be to the fans, to the city, to the club, to the players, having Eddie Howe back on that touchline as well? I think that's going to play a big part. Really, really do.
I'm not sure if he's going to be back there for Ipswich.
No, I don't think he'll be back for Ipswich.
I think if he comes back, that pneumonia is not something to be sniffed at. There's it's a serious illness, serious illness that is it's life changing. It really is, and I kind of think there's a lot of fans and a lot of people, particularly in the media, that haven't really like sat back and thought how serious this illness was. Like for him to be hospitalized for the amount of days that he is, knowing the type of person he is,
Yeah.
it's a serious thing. Like he is really, what's that?
That's Ronan. I've actually met Ronan on the flight over to Newcastle. He was going to. He's a massive Villa fan. So yeah, no, congrats, Ronan. Commiserations on PSG, and that didn't work out. But I know it's going to be a very interesting run-in. As you've seen our calculations there, we potentially ruled Villa out. But if you get a win against Man City on Tuesday night, it's all to play for again. Nicely bunched. But cheers for joining.
Good man.
So I just think that I don't see him. I would love it if he was back and available for Ipswich. I just don't see it. I think Brighton's probably more realistic. Maybe even Chelsea after that, being the home game at St James's Park, where he's not having to travel long distance. But yeah, I think the ultimately the quicker we get Eddie Howe back on the touchline or on the training ground, the better. But let's wait and see. Just because, yeah, it's really serious. I just hope that he makes a complete full recovery and he's good to go, even if it's not this season, next season. But yeah, not having him there is the kind of leader and the chief in front of everything is important. There was long parts in the game today where there was no one on the touchline. I don't know if you noticed it. You might not have seen it during the game, but JT he spent a lot of time sitting in the kind of like in the dugout. He wasn't really up directing things for a lot of the game. He was sat down a lot of the time. Eddie Howe's not that guy. He's really up. He's conducting things constantly within the game. That's important. The players want to see someone visual that they can look at in directing them. And that was something that I think the players were missing today. That I think we desperately miss. We can get through it with Ipswich, but I think going to Brighton, I think hopefully, if he's back in the touchline, that'll be a big plus. But let's see.
Yeah.
Boys, that is it. Maybe is there one or two comments or questions you want to get to, boys?
Yeah, I think. Let's see. This was an interesting one, and is LB a Man City fan? I assume he is.
He is.
Yeah. He was going deep on us before LB, and one of the I saw this comment.
I was going to say, well, he has a Man City channel.
No, it's a different LB, but he was going deep before, and this one I starred particularly. You guys are on the beach. Your players have tapped out for the season with the amount of hard games you guys have coming up. It ain't looking good. I just wanted to know whether you agreed with that, because for me, I completely disagree with that, and it feels to me, LB, could be wrong, mate, but it feels to me like you're having a bit of a wobble yourselves, because I think Man City really wanted us to beat Villa today, but now the Villa-Man City game has become all of a sudden incredibly important, because if Villa were to beat Man City on Tuesday, that throws everything up then. And then I think, but I don't think it necessarily affects us. I think it more affects Man City directly, because we've got our games, we're channeling, we know what we've got to do. But it almost, maybe I'm wrong saying this, but it almost feels like Villa City could then be a direct shootout. And the reason I say that is because obviously, if Villa were to win, then they're right up alongside City again. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, what were your boys' thoughts on LB's comment there?
Yeah, we're not on the beach. We had a wobble on a bad day at the office, and we'll be going again. The bubble had to burst. It would be unbelievable if we had carried on right through the end of the season. But no, reality is set in, and this is what this season is, the roller coaster that it is. So no, we'll go again. Ipswich is not a bad game with us being at home as well to get that show back on the road.
Yeah, I'm not worried. LB, I think you're wrong. We haven't tapped out for the season at all. We've just gone 6 unbeaten. We're not expected to win every single game. This is not a title tilt where you have to win every single game to be in the race. Let's not forget 2 years ago, we were in exactly the same situation where we went to Villa Park and we lost by 3 goals. But we were able to recover, we were able to bounce back, and we were able to get Champions League football. I genuinely think we can do the same again. And as we've said, if you've been watching the show, LB, with Ipswich at home coming up next, it's the perfect opportunity to bounce back. But I think you boys are right. I think that's a more of a cry for help from LB than it is a finger point to Newcastle United, because LB, from it to LB, was very, very clear that he wanted Newcastle United to win today to help his team keep Villa at bay. And we didn't do our side of the job and we didn't play well. But ultimately, what that now does is make the game at the Etihad a massive, massive game where Man City have to turn up. They have to play well and they have to win if they want Champions League football. So ultimately, although it's not the result that we wanted and the performance that we wanted, it puts all the pressure back on Man City and all the pressure again back on Villa. Because this isn't it now. Villa can't sit on their laurels after that 4-1 win and think job's done, we're back in the race. They've got to go and do it again.
Puts pressure on Forest as well, Pete. It's on Forest as well.
Of course. But we're now the spectators, boys. We're now the spectators. We sit back. We're still in third. We're watching. We're the watching brief now on Tuesday. We can sit back and go, okay, Villa, Man City, what you got? And we put the pressure all on them. And they've now got to turn up and do the business. And if Man City do the business, fair enough. And if Villa do the business, fair enough. I think it'll be a draw. So I think neither team are going to want to lose that game, which actually falls very, very nicely into Newcastle United's hands, if that's the case. We go to Ipswich, we do our job while they're bothered about FA Cup semi-finals, which is back in the driving seat again. So, hey, let them get on with it. Let them crack on.
And I think as well, to add to the point I just made there, Pete, you know, Wolfie's going to be looking at this because it's another club in the conversation, isn't it? Because if we'd have beat Villa today, Wolfie may have been looking at the Tottenham game and going, okay, you know, obviously we'd like to win, you know, get us right up there. But now that Villa have gained those 3 points, all of a sudden he's got somebody else over his shoulder. Because we've got our, like you say, we've got our points in the bag. We're on 59 points. Daz, if you could just flash that league table up again for us, sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're on our 59 points, and all of a sudden now Villa have come level with Forest. Now, obviously, if we'd have won today, we would have been on 62 points, and Villa would have still been on 54 points. So Forest would have had that little bit of swing room, you know, even a draw at Spurs. It would have been like, okay, well, we've still maintained that gap. We've still got it would have been a 4-point gap, wouldn't it, if Forest would have drew against Spurs on Monday? But now Forest have to win. And if Forest do win, fair play to them. Obviously, they'll go to 60 points. They'll go ahead of us. But if Forest don't win, Forest will then be panicking on the Tuesday, thinking, oh, do we want City to win? Do we want Villa to win? They're going to be in the same boat as us. But thankfully, because we've got those extra couple of points, it's not even a lot, is it? It's just a couple of extra points. It makes all the difference at this time of the season, doesn't it? All the difference.
Yeah, I suppose another way of looking at all this is that you just want two of that 7, sorry, 2 of that 5 to fuck up, and for the other 3 to sail on through. And we've identified Chelsea as being one that have the most difficult, but are the most likely to mess up, and then we just need one other to mess up, and not to be us.
Yeah.
So
no, totally.
Interesting how it will play out.
It will. There's still a lot of football still to be played, and I want to ask this question, boys. I want to ask this question because, well, there's 2 more questions I'm going to ask. This one, firstly off Craven. Thanks for tuning in, Craven. Do you guys think the result would have been different if Howe was in the dugout, as Eddie has had Emery's number tactically for 2 seasons. Now, for me, I think the key word that you use there is tactically. I think tactically we would have reacted quicker, and maybe things wouldn't have been so mismatched, is what I'd say. On that right hand side, I think if Eddie was on that touchline, as Peter alluded to earlier, I think there would have been more instruction, more direction, maybe the odd change here and there. I'm not blaming Jason Tindall by any stretch, because he's done a great job since since Eddie's been out. But do you boys think it would have made a difference? It's all ifs and buts, isn't it? We'll never really know. But do you think it may have or would have made a difference, maybe?
I think the scoreline maybe, but I think it was tiredness as well as tactical switches to combat what was happening down our right hand side. So it probably wouldn't have been 4-1, but I think we probably still would have lost, bearing in mind the fatigue element. So I'm going to say we would have.
And Pete, I'm going to add this on. It's almost kind of not the same question, but it's from Craven, and he says, "Was Tindall very naive today and didn't know what to change tactically?" Do you think that's a fair accusation to throw out?
It's maybe a little bit harsh to say naive. Obviously, tactically, Eddie Howe's the man. Like, he's the one that puts the tactics together and how we tactically put together our team. It's very, very clear from what you can tell by what you hear in the press conferences and what you hear from Jason Tindall that him and Eddie Howe haven't really spoken. So this is all coming from Jason Tindall. So for me, I genuinely believe, had Eddie Howe been fit and available for this game, we wouldn't have been set up in the same way. The personnel would have been the same, but the way in which we implemented our tactics for today's game would have been very different. Because this is not Eddie Howe just being bedridden, but able to kind of be on the phone and organise tactics from away from the game like a touchline ban. This is not that. Like, Eddie Howe is not able to physically be able to be organising the game and doing it from his own back. So this is all at Jason Tindall. And look, we can't knock him because of what we saw against Man United, because of what we saw against Crystal Palace was brilliant. But we're coming up against an equally tactical genius in one sense in Unai Emery. Like, Eddie Howe has got the better in a number. I think before today's game, I think 5 out of the last 6 outings between Villa and Newcastle, Newcastle have got the better of Villa, and out of five out of those 6 games, and the majority of them are down to Eddie Howe. And Eddie Howe tactically, we know, is excellent, but without him and his knowledge and the way in which he constructs his team is noticeably different in a game like this, when you've got someone that's tactically equally astute as Eddie Howe. And I think that's what came about. Eddie Howe not being on the touchline made a massive difference in this game. I don't believe that we would have been set up in the same way. However, without Eddie Howe, I still believe that we will tactically put a team together that will ensure that we beat Ipswich, and then we hope that we have Eddie Howe back to be able to beat Brighton the week after.
Yeah.
Pete, could you just tell Prawn Cracker to go easy there in the pots and pans in the background?
That's not me. That's that. Don't take it out on me. He's bringing that up. I'm just saying. All right, just saying.
That's gone down well. Carry on, Chris.
I've not said a word. I'm just a mere minion in this conversation. That's all.
Happy Easter, Keisha.
Yeah, that was a tentative happy Easter.
Yeah, that was like happy Easter, don't choke on your chocolate.
Yes, very much so.
Right, this last question, boys. I want to ask this last question because I'm going to add a little extra to it because it's such a great question. And this is from Michael. And Michael says, do you think it's wrong tactically that Barnes always gets moved to the right-hand side to make way for Gordon, especially with the form he's shown recently? And I think that's a really good question. And the one I want to tag on to it, Michael, if you don't mind, is I want to ask the boys, do we see a change in the lineup? I mean, I don't want to spoil anything for a potential away days, but do you think we see? All I will ask you, not for specifics, but all I will ask you is, do you think we see the same 11 against Ipswich next week, or do you think that Jason Tindall will stick with the same 11?
Good, Dad.
I think this you couldn't change it on the run we're on, and unless someone was injured or completely not able to play in some capacity, or banned. But now I think it's the time to make a change. I do not think Gordon has played well anytime he's come on. Probably the best he's played was when we were at the Man United game, but he hasn't done much when he's come on as a sub. But at the same time, I think it's the time to try and bring him back in a game to get his confidence up, hopefully as well. So then, do you put? I don't know who you start though. I don't think it's time to make changes. I don't know what changes yet though. I don't think Gordon likes being a sub, and I don't blame him be in that, but. Yeah, he does need some kind of a kick up the arse as well, but we also need him as much as he needs us.
That one's a fair comment. I don't know whether he looked disinterested, but he had a poor body language because and look, this is my argument that I've had all season when talking about Harvey Barnes. For me, I don't think there'll be a change. I think there shouldn't be. I think Murphy's form deserves him to get another start against Ipswich. I think Barnes' form, and he got another assist again today, deserves him another start. Gordon hasn't done enough to justify him starting, but I don't put that on Anthony Gordon as much. And the reason why I say that is because this is part of my argument for the whole season and going into last season as well. It's very, very difficult off the bench and influence the game. And this is the kind of pressure that we've been putting on Harvey Barnes. We expect him to come on and make a big difference and score a goal that wins a game. And he has done that at times, and he's been very, very good doing it. But you can't just expect him to come on and just change the game like that. And if he doesn't, he's shit, he needs to be sold, he's rubbish, this, that, and the other. And you know what? I was talking to Emeka at half-time, and he turned to me and he was like, you know what? The amount of fans that we've seen on social media that because Barnes is doing well have turned around and going, we need to sell Gordon in the summer. No, we don't. No, this is about competition for positions, right? And yeah, Gordon's body language wasn't great when he came on, and mostly because we were losing and we didn't look like we were ever going to get back in the game. And he probably mentally knew that. But ultimately, this is now the opportunity for Gordon to try and win his place back into the team. He needs to come on and try and make a difference if he's going to justify his place back in the team. He can't just expect to come back in the team because Barnes is actually playing really well. He's scoring goals, he's creating assists, he's playing well within the game. I don't agree with Barnes just getting shipped off to the right to supplement Gordon. I think Gordon should have got onto the right and Barnes stayed where he was because Barnes was playing okay where he was. I think it needs to be reciprocated in that we were supplementing and supporting Gordon when he was playing well on that left-hand side and shifting Barnes to the right because we wanted to give him minutes. It needs to be the same the other way around. It's like we're almost just supplementing Barnes just a second. And you know what made me laugh about that is when he did go to the right, he actually created a couple of opportunities. Like the one thing we were crying out for from Murphy is to get the ball and run at Maxson and actually commit him on that right-hand side. And as soon as Barnes went onto the right, there was 2 or 3 occasions where he got the ball and he just went, you know what, I'm going for you. And he ran down that side and he tried to hit the ball and it got blocked and he won 2 or 3 corners off the back of that. And that's what he wanted. I still don't believe Barnes should have been that side. I still think he should have been on the left because him and Tino's relationship is good and they've got an understanding there. But it goes back to the original point. Gordon needs to earn his way back into the team. It's not a given that he should just walk back into the team. No player should really just walk back into the team. You have to earn your spot. And I said to you before, Gordon got sent off for his own wrongdoing. He has to win our trust back that he deserves a spot back in this team. And it should be across the whole pitch. Right. And boys, I've not said this, and I'm going to say it now. This is why what we're talking about today with Fabian Schär, this is why I was so insistent to you boys for so long that Sven Botman had to come back before the end of the season. Because we cannot afford for Fabian Schär to think, my place is sorted, I'm good. I can put half-assed performances in and I'll be back in the team next week. No, that's not what we want. We want competition for places. Schär will start against Ipswich, but having Botman back in the squad next Saturday will just allow Schär to go, oh, if I don't play well, Botman can play on that right-hand side.
And we've seen Botman on that right-hand side, and he's been very good.
Exactly, Chris. And that's what we saw in the turn of the year. And what do we see? Burnham, Botman playing fantastically well together. He cannot afford to put these type of performances in again. This is why Botman coming back before the end of the season, when we have people on social media, when I put tweets out going, nah, stick him, keep him for next season. No, we need him now. We need him fit and firing because these games are massive. Even if we go into a game, say, for example, forget Ipswich for a moment. Say, for example, we're 2-1 up against Brighton and Brighton are throwing the kitchen sink at us, putting 3 at the back and throwing Botman in for the last 10, 15 minutes to just go, you know what? A solid centre-back that's good in the air, strong on the ball, that holds possession, that can just see out a game will be great confidence for us as fans, for Eddie Howe and Tyndall, but also for the team and for him getting minutes under his belt. This is really important. Schär needs to pick up his arm because he hasn't got anyone. Byrne's got Botman on that left-hand side that's kind of breathing down his neck. Schär has nobody because Lascelles isn't going to come back probably before the end of the season, even though he's got his new contract. We won't see him until pre-season. This is why it's so imperative we get a right centre back in that is genuinely going to push him next season because we can't afford performances like we saw today. And it's in isolation at this moment in time, but Botman coming back will ask the question of Schär, are you going to put that performance in again? Because if you do, Botman's ready to come back in. And this is why it's crucial. Competition for places, lads, across the pitch is absolutely crucial. Another one, last one from me, Callum Wilson. When Callum Wilson comes on the pitch, with all due respect, I love the guy, but when he comes on the pitch, you know the game's up. He doesn't offer the same as Alexander.
There's nothing.
I know you're thinking the same. Your reaction to when I said that, you know you're thinking the same. When he comes on the pitch, as much as we love him, he doesn't offer the same in the game up, which is why we need a striker that's capable of pushing Alexander Isak in games like this to go, you still need to put your foot in and play well. Otherwise, this guy's going to come on and bag us a goal, and then your position's up for question. We have to have it across the board. That's what elite football teams do. It's the reality.
Yeah, just when he came on the pitch today, I was thinking he's done as a top half table Premier League striker. Then I started thinking, is he actually even a Premier League striker anymore? He's dropped down that far. Then I started thinking back to the time that we bought Wilson and Watkins was there at the same time, and then, you know, the game that Watkins. No, but Callum Wilson that has done it for us in the past, and he's done really well. But he's spent now. It would make zero sense us keeping Wilson next season.
Yeah. Christopher D just confirms João Pedro is suspended for our game. Not quite sure if we're Muir, but happy with that, Christopher.
Happy with that. Look, boys, we'll end it there. I think we'll bring it to a close. Look, it hasn't been a great day on the football front. keep an eye on the upcoming games. Of course, that have an impact on us now from now until the end of the season, but especially into next week. But yeah, most importantly, have a great Easter, everyone. Have a great one, and we will see you soon. That's it. Good night, everyone.
Keep the faith, positivity. Let's go. Ipswich smash job. 4-0. I'm calling it here first.
4-0. Here we go. Happy Easter. Oh, there's only one William Smith in the chat tonight. Good night, everyone. See you in the next one.
Each and every single day, I know I'm gonna have to eventually give you